Today is Thursday, August 7th. We'll tell you about historic new tariffs now in effect and which specific industries the White House is targeting next. Also, President Trump is threatening to take over a major city. We'll tell you about the incident that may inspire some big changes. Plus, what caused United flights to be grounded for hours yesterday, why mRNA vaccine research is being scrapped, and how history is about to be made in Major League Baseball. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. New tariffs on more than 90 American trading partners took effect overnight. Together, this has sent the average effective U.S. tariff rate to 17%, the highest level in nearly a century. They will impact everything from appliances made in Europe, cars made in Japan, toys made in China, TVs from South Korea, food from Mexico, and much more. As we told you last week, President Trump announced all the new country-specific rates in a series of executive orders. The president has said these tariffs will help reset unfair trade relationships, bring in more money for the U.S. government, inspire more American manufacturing, and so on. But many economists and businesses say they'll also cause more inflation, both here in the U.S. and abroad. For example, Yale's Budget Lab says the tariffs will end up costing a typical American household, on average, $2,400 this year. And President Trump says more tariffs are coming soon, for example, on semiconductor chips and pharmaceutical imports. Remember, tariffs have been imposed on other goods like steel and copper already. Besides specific industries, President Trump has also shown he's willing to target certain countries based on issues unrelated to trade. For example, Trump hiked India's tariff rate to 50% over the country buying Russian oil, saying it's helping to finance the war in Ukraine. And that's double what we reported when trade talks fell apart last week. And it's a big difference from the nearly 2.5% tariff India paid in recent years. Top U.S. imports from India include smartphones, chemicals, plastic, leather goods, agricultural products, and metals. Trump says he could raise other tariffs too if countries don't follow through with their investment commitments. So, to be continued. In what could be one of the most dramatic moments yet of President Trump's second term, he's planning to meet with Russian President Putin. Trump says the meeting could happen as soon as next week, making it the first time the leaders would come face-to-face since the war started in Ukraine. And Trump plans to follow up with a meeting between himself, Putin, and Ukrainian President Zelensky. The announcement came just hours after Putin met with Trump's top negotiator, Steve Witkoff, a meeting that Trump called highly productive. It was actually Witkoff's fifth meeting with Putin this year. But this time, the State Department was optimistic about how it went. Even Ukrainian President Zelensky said it seems Russia is now getting more serious about a ceasefire. Still, plenty of analysts are skeptical, saying Putin could just be trying to prolong peace negotiations while he keeps attacking Ukraine. In fact, the latest attack happened just yesterday. And Trump has said he doesn't expect Russia to agree to a ceasefire by the deadline he set of tomorrow. So with that, even more countries are set to face Russia-related sanctions tomorrow. President Trump is now threatening a federal takeover of Washington, D.C. It comes after a well-known member of the Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE, was beaten in an attempted carjacking. We're talking about 19-year-old Edward Korstein, best known for his nickname, Big Balls, and for overhauling multiple federal agencies earlier this year. Authorities say he was surrounded and assaulted by a group of teenagers, though it's not clear if they knew who he was. Two 15-year-olds have since been arrested and charged with unarmed carjacking. In a social media post, President Trump shared a picture that appeared to show Korstein, known as Big Balls, lying in the street shirtless and bleeding. And he had added, quote, "If D.C. doesn't get its act together and quickly, we will have no choice but to take federal control of the city." Already, a CNN report says there are plans to increase the federal law enforcement presence in the nation's capital today and tomorrow, but no exact details have been confirmed. A U.S. Army sergeant is now accused of shooting fellow soldiers at one of America's largest Army bases. 5 people were shot at Fort Stewart in Georgia. Some had to have surgery, but they are all expected to recover. Authorities say the shooter was quickly tackled by other troops and arrested. A lockdown lasted for about an hour. So far, authorities have not said what might have led to this shooting, but they say the shooter targeted coworkers in his unit. The FBI is now at the fort to help investigate. United Airlines had to ground its entire mainline fleet for a few hours yesterday. The problem was some kind of tech issue, but United says it was not a cybersecurity concern. As of last night, it was fixed, but not before more than 1,300 United flights had to be either delayed or canceled yesterday. So there are still some delays happening today while the airline gets caught up. This actually comes just weeks after Alaska Airlines also grounded all its flights for about 3 hours because of an IT outage. And that was Alaska's second time doing so in just over a year. More news still coming up, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Fatty 15. Okay, I admit it, I've felt some effects of getting older, and honestly, it's surprised me. I didn't think I'd already be feeling things like a sore back or stiff joints at times. So I'm doing everything I can for my long-term health and wellness, which is why I'm excited about our new partner, Fatty 15. Based on over 100 studies, there's information that says C15 strengthens our cells and is a key longevity-enhancing nutrient. In fact, Fatty 15 explains that when our cells don't have enough C15, our cells age faster. And when our cells age, our bodies age too. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, vegan, 100% pure C15 supplement that is said to have 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3 or fish oil. It's vegan-friendly and free of flavors, fillers, allergens, or preservatives. Truly, there's no flavor or fishy aftertaste in this pill. I appreciate how easy it is to take in the mornings and has absolutely become part of my daily routine. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier longer. And right now, you can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using the code newsworthy at checkout. Again, get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using code newsworthy at checkout. Now back to the news. President Trump's tone has shifted on mRNA vaccines. Back in 2020, he called them a medical miracle as they were developed to fight COVID-19 at the end of his first term. Now his health secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is effectively keeping the vaccine technology from advancing any further. Kennedy announced the federal government was canceling $500 million worth of mRNA research development contracts. Before this, American researchers hoped the vaccine technology would be able to prevent flu, prevent future pandemics, or treat cancer. Since several studies have shown that the mRNA COVID vaccines were more than 90% effective at preventing severe illness and death, and other studies have shown promise. mRNA shots don't contain any live viruses or pathogens and do not alter a person's DNA. The mRNA molecule eventually breaks down in the body. Unlike traditional vaccines that can take years to develop and test, mRNA shots can be made within months and then quickly updated as the virus changes. But Kennedy is criticizing these shots, saying the pandemic showed us the mRNA vaccines don't perform well against respiratory viruses. So he says federal money will only go toward other types of shots, like whole cell vaccines. The whole cell approach is more than 100 years old, and there's evidence it offers longer lasting immunity to shots on the market now. But it causes more side effects, which are sometimes dangerous. And earlier this year, when Kennedy pulled funding from an international vaccine organization, he had said at the time the reason was it was still using whole cell vaccines. Now Kennedy is receiving widespread backlash from virtually all mainstream medical organizations. But President Trump says he supports the secretary's move, saying his Operation Warp Speed to develop mRNA COVID vaccines was, quote, a long time ago. First, it was Alligator Alcatraz. Now it's the Speedway Slammer. The Trump administration launched a new partnership with Indiana to create an immigrant detention center. It will apparently add 1,000 beds to an existing prison about 65 miles north of Indianapolis. And because of where it is, the White House nicknamed it Speedway Slammer after Indiana racetracks. The Homeland Security Department also shared an AI-generated image of an IndyCar featuring the branding of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, aka ICE. IndyCar says it was not aware that this was going to happen and is now asking for its intellectual property to not be used like this again. Well, a DHS spokesperson called that absurd, said the government will keep promoting Speedway Slammer. Meanwhile, the DHS has launched a big recruitment campaign to hire more ICE agents. ICE has a website featuring imagery of Uncle Sam with the message, "Your country is calling upon you to serve." It's offering $50,000 signing bonuses, student loan relief, retirement benefits, and more. ICE also removed age limits for new hires. Remember, earlier this summer, Congress passed a spending bill that gives ICE money to hire 10,000 more staff. Well, this is all part of that. Tech giant Apple just announced another big investment into American manufacturing. It committed to spending another $100 billion in the U.S. as a way to avoid tariffs on its flagship iPhones. Now, more of the supply chain and advanced production will happen in the U.S., though not all of it. The White House said this is just one example of how President Trump's tariffs are working to secure trillions of dollars to support American jobs and businesses. Apple already announced plans to spend $500 billion in the U.S., so this brings the total to $600 billion. Other companies that have already announced new American investments this year include NVIDIA, OpenAI, Kimberly-Clark, Johnson & Johnson, Hyundai, Chobani, and many more. It used to be a mall staple for teens and tweens, but now it's filing for bankruptcy for the second time in 7 years. We're talking about Claire's, known for fashion accessories and ear piercings. It's been losing a lot of ground to online rivals lately and has faced more headwinds from new tariffs. So it has a significant amount of debt. Bloomberg says the company is looking for a buyer for some or all of Claire's locations, but for now, most locations in the U.S. will stay open. Of course, this is just the latest out of several mall retailers facing bankruptcies or store closings. Others include Forever 21, Foot Locker, JCPenney, and Macy's. Major League Baseball is calling up its first woman umpire. The MLB announced Jen Powell will be part of the 5-team umpire crew for this weekend's series between the Atlanta Braves and Miami Marlins. She's already worked spring training games, but this makes her the first woman to work a regular season game. The league's commissioner says this accomplishment is, quote, a reflection of Jen's hard work, dedication, and love of the game. It comes 28 years after the gender barrier was broken for American professional sports. First, there was a woman referee in the NBA, then the NFL, and then the Men's Soccer World Cup. The NHL still has not had any women as on-ice officials. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, this episode is sponsored by Quince. I'm turning to Quince for all my fall essentials this year, and I know it's a good idea because I've loved everything I got for summer. From my high-quality carry-on suitcase that has interior compression panels that make all the difference, to the versatile white linen dress that I grabbed for a vacation, to a cute rash guard sun protection shirt for my kiddo, I've been very impressed with everything I've gotten. And that's on top of the items I already had in my closet from Quince, like a washable silk tank that's great for layering. Anytime I'm looking for a refresh, I check Quince. This fall, I'm already eyeing a chic cashmere or cotton sweater. And the best part about all of this is that everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. So elevate your fall wardrobe essentials with Quince. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. All right, now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Scientific journals are running into an increasingly common problem: fake papers. A team of researchers at Northwestern University found evidence of shady organizations churning out fake or low-quality studies on an industrial scale. We're talking tens of thousands of papers. These fake journal articles are apparently doubling every year and a half, much faster than the increase of scientific papers overall. It's apparently happening because of dishonest scientists who want to pad their resumes and be named the author of a paper even if they did no research to earn the accomplishment. Fake papers can include doctored images and plagiarized text or text created by artificial intelligence. And now there's concern real science could take a hit. A data scientist who authored the new study explained that science has only made advances over the past few centuries because new generations of scientists could read about the accomplishments of previous ones. Basically, science relies on trusting what others did so you don't have to repeat everything. But if the trust isn't there, it's hard to make any new discoveries. Publishers have acknowledged this problem and say they've taken steps to spot fraud, but the new study authors say those steps don't go far enough, and they're demanding big industry-wide reforms. Well, thank you so much for listening and for supporting the show. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.